Hello, how are we doing? Without further ado, this is going to be the first video for SAT tips and tricks. This is just going to be a broad overview of about 13 general tips that I find have been extremely useful for me and for a lot of my students in acing the SATs. So, let's get started. Number 1. Get a watch. Get a watch. You'll need one to time yourself and to have consistency. Consistency is key. You want consistency between how you practice and how you perform. And so the more things that you can make the same between when you take a practice test and when you do the real test, the more likely that you're going to get a higher score. So you want the reference for what you're looking at in terms of time to be the same. So bring your own watch. I always have a watch laying on my desk next to me when I'm taking the test. It'll help you so much. One trick I use is to start at noon at the beginning of each section. And so then mentally, once it's 25, time's up. Once it's, around 15 or 12, that's at the halfway point. You don't really need to know the real time during the exam, so you only need to know how much time you have left. So I would reset my watch to noon at the beginning of each section, just for easy reading. Start at noon, end at 12:25, so on and so forth. But definitely get a watch because sometimes the clock is behind you and you're gonna look like you're cheating if you're constantly whipping your head back and forth trying to look at the time. Or if it's like at a corner, you never know where the clock is gonna be. Sometimes they have it projected overhead, sometimes they don't. You just want your own watch so that you can just discreetly look at the time for your own convenience. Number 2, get a calculator that you like. If your mom goes out and buys you a calculator that you hate and resent, you're gonna take that energy to the test. You don't want to use a calculator you don't like. I recommend using the TI-84. Get a color that you like. I used a pink one. Just get a calculator that works well for you. And when you take your practice tests, use that same calculator. Again, use the same calculator you will use on the real test when you're practicing for consistency. Take practice tests. Time yourself, grade yourself, then figure out how to do the ones that you missed. Write a little note. I have, a sheet that I'm reading off of. That's why I'm looking down. As I get better at these, maybe I'll have like a monitor so it'll look like I'm looking at you guys. But for now, we're just getting things started. Bear with me. So take practice tests, figure out how to do the ones that you missed, then write a little note or a hint about what you learned from that question. The SAT is all about increasing the chances of getting each problem right. You increase your chances by doing more problems. For reference, I did about 30 practice tests from Kaplan, Barron's, Princeton Review, and College Board in order to get a 2360 out of 2400. Now they've changed the scores to not be out of 2400, but it takes time. 1 full practice test a week is standard. I would spend my Saturday mornings doing it. People are always surprised by how long it takes. A lot of my students go take the test for the first time, the real test, and they're like, oh my God, it was so long. Like, yes, it's from like 9 a.m. to like noon, 1 p.m. It takes up your whole morning. It's intense. So yeah, I would do that Saturday morning and then, treat yourself to a fun day with friends, relax afterwards. And then in the evening on Saturday, I would go over the ones that I missed. That method, so doing it in the morning on a day that you have free and then relaxing and then going back to it same day, is a very effective way to study. It also helps you retain knowledge and prevents you from burning out. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with too much studying. Anyway, number 4, know what you're good at and know what your weaknesses are. Don't beat yourself up about your weaknesses. Focus on what you're good at. Try to get as many of those questions correct as possible, the ones that you're good at. Focus on what you're good at. Try to get as many of those. Once you've saturated the number of I know questions, the ones that you know you have a high chance of getting right, then start working on the concepts you struggle with. For me, for example, a concept that I struggled with in SAT math was probability. So I would give myself a maximum when I was taking the practice tests of 2 minutes to solve those problems. You never want to spend more than 2 minutes on a problem. And then once I hit the 2-minute mark, even if I didn't know it, just skip it and move on. Number 5, write the start time at the start of each exam. And then write the middle time at the middle number and the end time at the end number. It will help you pace. Just spend a few seconds calculating that at the beginning of each exam. Number 6, there is a formula sheet at the beginning of the math section. Use it, mostly for volumes and areas. Also like similar triangles, 30, 60, 90s, 45s. Most of them you should have memorized, but again, it's there and it's a pretty good formula sheet. So don't forget that it's there. Number 7, for the reading exam, read the intro paragraphs. They always have like a little 2-3 sentence introduction before the passage, and it will give you some background on the passage and, you know, get your toes a little wet before you start on those heavy reading passages. Number 8, when questions asks about a vocabulary, for example, what does this word mean in this context? Think of a synonym in your head before looking at your answer choices. The choices that they give you are meant to confuse you. They're meant to trick you. So if you have a synonym in your head before you look at the choices, you'll be more likely to get the right answer. Number 9, for the grammar section, they call it writing, but it's just grammar. It's IT apostrophe S. IT apostrophe S means it is. It's with no apostrophe, ITS means something belonging to it. Number 10, in writing, which is grammar, you always want to pick the shortest, most concise version of a sentence. Whenever you have 2 sentences that are grammatically correct, you always want to pick the shorter one. Number 11, each time you learn a new grammar rule, write a little note down on your practice test. Like it's equals it is, you know, something like that. And not just any grammar rule. I mean, if you got a question wrong and you look up the right answer and you read through the explanation, and you're like, oh, that's the rule, then write it down. Someone just yells a grammar rule while you're walking down the street. Don't write that down. Number 12. Ooh, this is like a karma, like just stay quiet kind of thing. After you take the real exam, never brag about how easy it was. That's bad karma. Just stay quiet until you get your results. Let your score speak for itself. 13, buy your own practice books. Do not use practice books from an upperclassman. Hand-me-down practice books are going to be outdated, filled with crap that your, older friends already wrote through. You want to buy a new practice book so that you have a fresh set of passages of, you just want clean sheets to write on so that you can mark it up with your own thoughts. You could even borrow one from the library. Those will be less outdated than the ones that your upperclassmen friends used. Even if it was like a year ago, you just want to get your own. 14, last one. Get a tutor. If you can, definitely try to get a tutor. I don't know a single person that excelled on the SAT without a tutor, frankly, or even taking like a class. It's daunting and confusing for any human being, so you want to invest in a tutor or a class or some sort of preparation with a coach for the SAT. You need to have someone who's kind, gentle, and makes you feel smart, optimistic, and confident. It makes all the difference. And it looks like we're at 11 minutes. That is going to be it for now. Moving forward, we're going to do some examples. We're going to dive in and teach those hard set skills for mastering the math and the reading and writing sections on the SAT. All right, so enjoy the rest of your day. Go out, enjoy the sun, live a little, and at the end of the day, know that the SAT is just the SAT. It's not like life or death. So get enough sleep. Don't lose sleep over this stuff. And yeah, go out and have fun. Live your life.